everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And in today's range report, we're going to be taking a look at yet another high-end 2011 style pistol from Nighthawk Custom, a company that has the motto of one gun, one gunsmith. And so each one of their pistols is handmade and hand fit by one person from the ground up. I have always been impressed with every Nighthawk Custom pistol I've ever had my hands on. You can just tell that the fit and finish of all of these guns is top notch. The model that we're going to be reviewing and talking about today is the BDS9, or the Boardroom Double Stack 9mm 1911. I already know some people are saying that's not a 1911, it's a 2011. Well, there is a caveat to this. There's only one company that can truly make 2011 pistols, and that is Staccato. Everyone else that copies their design makes 2011 style pistols because Staccato owns that trademark. And Nighthawk Custom calls this a 1911. So we might use some of this terminology interchangeably in this video. According to their website, this is a gun that is tailored to alpha competitive shooters. And if you know me and my channel, I'm not an alpha competitive shooter. I'm just an average gun guy. But if you're like me, you probably love and appreciate guns like this. So hopefully this gun is going to have some type of practical application for me. It might just be a great range gun, and that's what I'm here to test. This gun does have a unique feature that is milled into the slide. Besides the lightning cuts, the slide has a triangle shape to it, and that's supposed to reduce the weight, allowing the slide to cycle faster than other 1911s and 2011s. And that's something that I have complained about with other pistols in the past. I always wish the cyclic rate of these slides were faster, and hopefully this gun is going to remedy that. I'm also curious if this gun is going to stand out in the already crowded double stack 1911 or 2011 pistol market, because there's so many companies out there today making guns just like this. But before we get this gun to the range and find out how it shoots and I tell you about all of its features and specs, I always have to thank the people that help make these videos possible. First and foremost is the owner of this very beautiful and expensive pistol. His name is D, and he's a local fan and subscriber, and he has an amazing collection. You hear me talk about him in almost every one of these range reports. So D, thank you again for all you do for the Texas Gun Vault community. I always want to thank my Patreon supporters, because through their monthly donations and support, they help keep the lights on around here, and I could not create this content without them. And if you want to join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month, there's a link in the description below, and you'll get to see all of these videos early. And as always, I want to thank my primary sponsor who provides the ammunition for these range reports and makes them financially feasible for me, my good friend Mark from Brownworks. And yes, once again, we're here reviewing another 1911 pistol. And even though this one is a double stack 1911 that's of the 2011 variety, most likely you love guns like this and you have quite a few in your collection. You might have a Colt, a Rock Island Armory, maybe a Smith & Wesson. Well, you might be looking to dress up your 1911 with a set of customized wood panel grips. Well, the grip company you need to check out is Brownworks. Brownworks is a custom grip company making a wide variety of grips for a wide variety of firearms out of a wide variety of exotic woods and materials. Mark, the owner, is an artist and a craftsman. He can apply custom logos, custom engravings, custom textures, finish these grips in a wide variety of colors. He can create his own laminate woods and even apply exotic materials like snakeskin and alligator skin to these grips to make them unique and one of a kind. Pretty much anything you can imagine, Mark can create. Every set of grips is made to order. So I'm going to put a link to his website in the comment section below, as well as a coupon code for 10% off your first order. And I'm going to ask you guys to go over there and check out everything he has to offer. And when you place your first order of a set of Brownworks custom grips, please tell Mark the Texas Gun Vault sent you. All right, so we have a lot to talk about when it comes to this pistol. I want to test out the trigger, tell you about its specs and its features. So let me go ahead and adjust the camera and let's take a closer look at this beautiful Nighthawk Custom. So let's get a closer look at this beautiful Nighthawk Custom BDS9, the Boardroom Double Stack 1911. And isn't that just a gorgeous pistol? Let me tell you, Nighthawk Custom makes some beautiful guns, and they are so well put together. I do not see a flaw or an imperfection in this. Just a gorgeous machine. This pistol is built off of a government size frame. It is chambered in 9mm. It has a 17 round capacity. This model does have a grip safety, and that's something that I really do like about this pistol because many other 2011 manufacturers are beginning to omit this. It has a 5-inch barrel that is a bull barrel that is also crowned. The overall length is 8.58 inches. It is 1.44 inches wide. It has a height of 5.8 inches. It weighs 38 ounces. It does come with a fiber optic front sight. And even though this looks like a stainless steel gun, it is actually a silver DLC finish. And I can tell you it is applied perfectly. I do not see a single imperfection in it. So now the next thing I want to test, of course, is the trigger. So I'm going to get out the Lineman trigger pull weight gauge. We're going to measure it. I'm going to show you the initial take-up and its reset. So let me get that out and let's see what this trigger is all about. And so like always, before pulling the trigger on any gun I have into the channel for review, let's go ahead and safety check it. Let's drop the magazine, ensure there's no ammunition in that, and of course visually inspect the chamber, and it looks like we are good. Let's take a look at the initial take-up of the trigger, and look how short that is. And you come back to a very predictable and definitive wall, and it breaks a little bit heavier than the lightest 1911 triggers I've ever felt, but it's kind of in that sweet spot. Typically, I don't like the triggers that break too light. I think that is going to be right in the middle of what many people are going to want. Now let's take a look at this reset. Man, that's short, and you're right back at that wall. Take a look at that. Wow, that is an outstanding reset. So let's go ahead and get out the trigger pull weight gauge. Let's turn it on. Let's clear any averages that might be in it. And now let's test this trigger out. Now this trigger does have a flat face to it, which sometimes can be a little bit difficult to test, but I'll do my best here. For our first pull, we have 3 pounds, 7.7 ounces, and that is a little bit heavier than some of the other competitive 2011s I have reviewed. I did tell you it felt a little bit heavier, but not too heavy. Our second pull, 3 pounds, 8.6 ounces. Three pounds, 6.9 ounces. Three pounds, 7.5 ounces. And finally we have 3 pounds, 7.0 ounces, which gives us an average of 3 pounds, 7.6 ounces. So not the lightest trigger and definitely not the heaviest. It's kind of in that really nice middle ground. I have to say, even though this trigger is flat-faced, it feels really nice. So I think that's going to translate into a great shooting experience. So that's all of the specs and features of this pistol. So now let me go ahead and adjust the camera, and I'll share with you my thoughts on the things that I like and don't like about it before taking it to the range. And as always, when it comes to any firearm I have into the channel for review, I always want to share with you my thoughts about it, that I like and don't like, and I always want to start with the positive first. And the first thing I love about this gun, I've already mentioned, the company philosophy of Nighthawk Custom. One gun, one gunsmith. And it really shows in the end product. This gun's fit and finish is absolutely perfect. The lockup is so tight. I don't see any machine marks on it. It's also my understanding that if you have any concerns or questions about it, if you call customer service, they will put you in touch with the gunsmith that made this gun. They keep all of those records based off of the serial number. So if you have to send this in for service, the person that built it will repair it. I think that just is something special that a lot of other companies don't do, and Nighthawk Custom goes above and beyond. Now, of course, this means this is going to have a pretty darn high price point, but to have that level of customer service, I think is kind of worth it. The next thing I like about this design is the inclusion of the grip safety, and this is something that many other 2011 manufacturers nowadays are omitting. I kind of think they're taking the cheap way out. Personally, a grip safety doesn't affect the performance of the gun. It doesn't change the trigger pull at all. And when you have a gun like this with such a light trigger, having that grip safety, I think just gives you one added layer of protection. I would only want a 2011 with a grip safety. The last thing about this gun that I really like are the controls. They're not too big and they're not too small. They're just the right size. I especially love this magazine release button. It's in the perfect location and it sticks out just far enough where I don't have to contort my hand at all to reach it. I think that's going to help me have very quick magazine changes. And when it comes to the safeties, they're just the right length. Sometimes companies will make them almost too big, where I think you're going to have a hard time finding holsters for them. But this is absolutely perfect. The manual of arms of this gun is great, especially with the size of these controls. Now, there are two things about this gun that I don't like, and these are going to be very qualitative things that maybe some of you actually do like. As I hold this pistol on the workbench, I feel like this grip texture is way too aggressive. Now, this gun is designed for alpha competitive shooters, and maybe they're going to love that. But for an average gun guy like myself, it doesn't feel so good. I wish it was a little bit smoother. Now, maybe there's a version of this gun where they have something different, but the way this gun is set up, honestly, it is just way too aggressive. Maybe if I was wearing gloves, I would have a different opinion. But as an average gun guy that might get this as just a range gun or a practical gun, I'm not going to like that. The other thing that I don't like is the full-length dust cover. Now, some people absolutely love this. And as I said, this is just my personal opinion. I'm not a big fan of the blocky look out here in the front. I love the way a traditional 1911 looks with some scallops right here. I don't think this rail needs to be that long. Some people are going to like it, some people aren't. Personally, I kind of feel like it takes away from the beautiful aesthetics of the guns. I love guns that have curves and not sharp edges. So that's the things that I like and don't like about it, so now it's time to take it to the range. And because I am not an alpha competitive shooter and just an average gun guy, like always, I'm just going to start off with the target at 7 yards. I want to put a magazine through this gun. I just want to see how it shoots. See if I discover anything else about it that I like and don't like. I'll come back here to the garage and report to you on that. But I'm just excited to get some trigger time on this thing, see what the recoil's like, and of course see, is it accurate? So let's go to the range and see how this thing shoots. And I have to say, overall, I'm impressed with this first magazine. The gun feels solid mechanically. I told you earlier in this video that the design of the slide was supposed to help the cyclic rate of the slide, and it does seem like it's running quicker. One of the concerns I always have with many 2011 pistols is the slowness of the slide. I can kind of feel it when I'm shooting, and I don't feel that with this pistol. It just feels more solid, and I really like that. And honestly, the recoil impulse is very light and very low, and this gun does not have a compensator. And I always argue, most 2011s, especially those chambered in 9mm, don't need comps. And I can tell you, the recoil impulse of this gun is not affected by not having that compensator. Now, I was pretty sure I wasn't going to like this grip texture, and I can tell you, after the first magazine, it is still a little bit too aggressive. Now, in the competitive world, it might be exactly what you would want, but as just a range gun, I think it's a little bit too much. So now let's double the distance of this target, put another magazine through it, and once again, just see if the gun continues to perform well, continues to be accurate, and see if there's anything else about it that I discover that I want to talk about. So let's go back to the range, put some more rounds through it, and just have some more fun with this beautiful Nighthawk Custom. And at 15 yards as an average gun guy, overall, I'm pretty happy with that group. I'm not going to complain. It's not the best shooting gun for me, but once again, I'm not somebody that takes these pistols to the range and tries to do target shooting, bullseye shooting, or competitive shooting with them. I just take them to the range to have fun. And overall, that group is going to be pretty good for me. I can tell that this is a very accurate gun. So probably in the hands of people that do this competitively, it's going to be an amazing pistol. But I'm having a great time with it. So, as I said, I am happy with its performance. I'm also very happy with its consistent ejections. Sometimes with 2011 pistols, they eject all over the place for me, and this one is very consistent at about the 4 or the 5 o'clock position and with the same strength and power. I really appreciate guns that run so consistent. So now I'm going to take the target out to 25 yards and see what the best group I can get with it is if I take as much of the human element out of the equation. So I'm going to shoot this from the bench. So let's go back to the range, set the target out as far as I can, and just see what the best group I can get with it is. And I know some of you are questioning why I used the target that I did. Well, normally when it comes to this test, I use an IDPA paper target. However, I didn't have one of those at the range. My range was out, so I had to use the hostage target, and the hostage was an easier thing to see than the hostage taker at that distance. So yes, I'm very aware I shot the hostage, but that was on purpose. Now, I did have one flyer in that group, and that was totally me. I knew when it happened. But for the rest of the group, overall, I'm pretty happy. It's not the best shooting 2011 pistol I've ever reviewed. That distinction goes to the Staccato XL limited edition with the island barrel. But overall, this group is pretty darn good. So I know in the hands of a competitive shooter, it's going to perform great for you. Now, being an average gun guy like myself and not an alpha competitive shooter, somebody like myself might buy this for home defense. And if that's the case, you're going to want to know, will it run hollow points? Sometimes these pistols with very tight tolerances can be a little bit ammo sensitive. So that's what I want to test. So let's go back to the range, run a magazine of hollow points through it, and just make sure we have no failures. And as expected, the gun ran great with absolutely no failures, and it's really easy to keep on target. The gun is a little bit on the heavy side, but let me tell you, those follow-up shots are a piece of cake. Sometimes heavier guns do have their advantages. Now, the last test I want to do is a 3-in-1 test. I want to, number one, see how fast I can shoot this gun. I can tell you this trigger is really nice, and because of the cyclic rate of the slide, I have high hopes. Number two, I want to see how fast I can change these magazines out. I already told you that magazine button is easy to get to, and these mags just fly right out of this gun, so I don't think I'm going to have a problem. And I also want to test the point shootability of this gun. As I mentioned, you might just be an average gun guy like myself, and you buy this as a practical gun, and maybe you have to use it once again for home defense. And if you don't have time to line up those sights, you just want to know, is this gun point shootable? If you point it at the threat that you're trying to stop and you just pull that trigger fast, is it easy to stay on target? And will you even hit the target? So that's what I want to test out. So let's go back to the range, test these three things out, and I'm most excited to see how fast I can shoot this pistol. And wow, I can shoot this gun fast. I told you earlier in this review that this trigger is just the right weight. It's not too heavy and not too light. It's right in that sweet spot. And I think those results speak for themselves. Now, when it comes to dropping the magazine, getting the gun back in action, and changing these things out, it's really fast and really quick. These mags fly right out of this gun, and the magazine release is so easy to get to. It's important to note that Nighthawk Custom sends two slide stops with these guns. One that will lock the gun open on an empty magazine and one that won't. But you can see which one I prefer. I like to know when I'm empty, so I can change that magazine out, and I like to do the slingshot method to get the gun back in action. You might like to run your guns differently, and that's okay. Now, when it comes to the results on that target, you saw that was a pretty darn good group, especially for just shooting fast and point shooting. I'm not going to complain. This gun is very controllable, and that just goes to show 2011s do not need compensators. This gun is very low recoiling and very easy to stay on target. Those follow-up shots are just a breeze. So what are my final thoughts on the Nighthawk Custom BDS9? Well, this is a great pistol. It is very accurate. It has low recoil. It's very consistent and very reliable. The only con to this gun, I think, is the grip texture. It's just a little bit too aggressive for me as an average gun guy not shooting with gloves. But you might absolutely love it. But now let's see if we can answer the big question. Does this gun offer anything that other manufacturers don't? Well, not really. Is this gun high quality? Yeah, you betcha it is. Is it well built? Yes. Is it accurate? Yes. Is it reliable? Yes. Is it fun to shoot? Yes. I think what it boils down to is what you want out of a gun. If this gun has the features you want, you need to look at it and maybe get one. If you don't like the features, go in a different direction. After reviewing so many 2011s, it's really kind of hard to compare them because they're all so different. But in some ways, they're all the same. So, does this gun have the features you want? It might. Is there things about it you don't like and maybe you would want to go in a different direction? Well, maybe, but that's going to be up to you. But on my personal star system, how would I rate the Nighthawk Custom BDS9? Well, I'm going to give it 4.5 stars out of 5. A pretty darn good review. The only thing about it, once again, I did not like was the grip texture. So even though it performed great for me, it wasn't as comfortable to shoot as I think it could be. So what do you guys think about Nighthawk Custom and the pistols that they make? And what do you think about the Boardroom Double Stack 9mm 1911? Is this a gun that piques your interest? I would love to know. So tell me in the comments. So, as always, thanks for watching.